Yeah, good afternoon from my side. It's a pleasure being here. Let me go one slide forward. No, that's the ship. Yeah. Well, anyway, it's always good to open a speech with an icebreaker. This is my icebreaker. That's the Prometei, a 45-meter yacht I bought this summer, actually on the 1st of August. And so you might have guessed it, I'm probably the most unexperienced yacht person in that room, so I'm happy to learn from you as well. Now, why did I buy that ship? Yeah. To be honest, it was not a very long plan, and I come to that. It's more that I wanted to go exploring, and I thought I need to have a ship which should be 30 meters, and it should be a steel hull. And that's how we went out and looked for one. And then, surprisingly fast, we found the Prometei and fell a bit in love with it. Spent now a good summer of cruising around in the Mediterranean, having fun, noticing that a lot of things, don't work on a ship. That's probably what you learn very fast as a yacht owner. But I also want to tell you a bit why we do that. And why we do that is we always like to travel. What you see here is a Toyota Land Cruiser. We did a trip 2 years around the world by car. That was a long time ago. So I really like this, exploration way, going a bit off the beaten track. You have heard it. We plan to do the Northwestern Passage. We will go to the Antarctic and a lot of other places. I will show you the route soon. But the whole trip we do mainly for the topic of longevity. And I'm not sure how many of you in here are familiar with. Maybe you have heard the word longevity, but let me quickly spend maybe 2-3 minutes on what it is actually longevity. And then I promise I will go back to the ship and tell you a bit more about what we plan to do with the Prometei. So longevity is basically a science. It's the science of anti-aging, of slowing down aging. It's not necessarily living forever, but it's a lot about how can we stay young until we die, basically. And why do we want that? Because the older you get, the more you have very uncomfortable sicknesses. It's known now that aging is the strongest, how shall I say, the strongest propel for anything from cancer to diabetes type 2 to Parkinson, Alzheimer. All of that is connected with aging. So if we manage to stay young, well, we will not develop any of these sicknesses. And the interesting thing is that in the year 2013, scientists basically came up with a paper. You can download that. It's called The Hallmarks of Aging. And for the first time, they said, well, we know why we age. And, for me, this was, I'm not a medical doctor. I'm an entrepreneur, a businessman. When I understood that we finally have discovered the reasons why we age, I understood that this is going to be something big. Because the problem of aging is known since centuries and millennia. Yeah? And we know that, every second emperor and ruler and sultan didn't want to die and sent out people to find ways of not to die, of to stay young, and it didn't work. And since about 10 years, I think we have a good hope to find ways that it is working, to slow down aging, to rejuvenate, basically. And that's why we understand now aging. We have these reasons you see on the screen here. That's the so-called hallmarks of aging. Aging has to do with problems on the cell level. Our cells divide. When they divide, they make more and more mistakes the older we get. And now we know what mistakes they do. We can start correcting those mistakes. And the good news is, forward. Doesn't really move forward. Well, anyway, sooner or later it will go forward. What I can tell you is we have now, not solved all of it, but in some areas we can really rejuvenate. So we are able to basically make our mitochondria work better again. Here we go. We are able to lengthen our telomeres again. That is rejuvenation. So this makes us younger, yeah? And in all the other areas, scientists are working on it. So we are moving in the right direction. And what for me was always interesting is to understand, who is aging slower? What do they do? And this is something which has been, looked very carefully at by scientists, by researchers. And what they found was that there is areas in the world, the so-called blue zones. where people age apparently much slower, and stay young or healthy. And there is this book by Dan Buettner, The Blue Zone, Secrets of Living Longer. So this guy basically, he compared statistics and found out that there is specific places around the world where people really, in average, live to 100 years and above. And quite interestingly, once they passed 100 years, they don't die of cancer anymore. They die of old age. Their heart stops or they fall down the stairs or something like that. And what we said is, well, that's cool. I mean, these places are from Okinawa in Japan to Ikaria, which is in Greece, Sardinia, Nicoya, which is Costa Rica, Loma Linda, which is northern California. So they're pretty spread and they're all somewhere at the sea. And that's when we said, you know what, our next big trip, we take a ship and we go to all those blue zones and want to discover a bit more of what are people doing there actually. And to be honest, we also want to be a bit critical because after this book has been published, there was a lot of, wow, great, super cool. And then journalists came and said, well, maybe it's fraud. Maybe that's not true at all. Because some of the people, they just didn't report their grandparents dead because they wanted to get the pension money from the grandparents. Apparently that is a bigger problem, yeah? And so we don't know, but I want to find out. And so what we said is, well, let's do a cruise all around the planet, go to these places, and in the meantime, try to live a healthy life on the ship as well. So we have hired quite a good cook, we have a nutritionist, we do a lot of sports, we build a gym and stuff like that. So it should really become a longevity cruise where you're not only having fun, but also on the way we really try to lead a healthy life. And so do our guests. I mean, this is a private cruise, it's not commercial. But we do invite a lot of friends. We also invite basically everybody to apply, from researchers to scientists to entrepreneurs, investors, because we want to maintain a bit of a co-working space in this topic of longevity as well. And what you see here is my girlfriend and myself when we were plotting the route, finding out with ChatGPT where can you go when, and when do you have a cyclone or hurricanes stopping you, and the Northwestern Passage, when can you drive in, and when do you need to be out again, and what certification do you need. And I can tell you as somebody new to the whole yachting industry, it's a complete mess of information. Super difficult to get the information you need, and don't think that the management companies help you. I mean, they help you when you talk about the Caribbean and Mediterranean. Yeah? They know everything there and the cool harbors and where you go and provisioning, blah, blah, blah. But it already starts with the Northwestern Passage. What criteria does your yacht need to fulfill? Is anybody controlling it? Do you just go? I mean, at the end, I called the Canadian Coast Guard myself and asked them a bit, and I found that if you have a private yacht, nobody really controls you, but it would be better if, stuff like that. Honestly, it is relatively complex to plan a trip around the world, but that's what we like to do. So it's research for us. What we came up with, and this was the first real plan, we really want to do that. We plan to start in February in Croatia. The ship is in Croatia right now in a shipyard. We do some refits under a lot of time pressure, as you can imagine. We need to do the 5-year arena and some upgrades. Also, we want to do the Drake's Passage, which is from Ushuaia all the way down to Antarctica. So there might be heavy, waves and everything like that. So you need to bring your boat to the level that you can do all of that without any risk, basically. But so anyway, we plan to leave from Croatia, go all the way to Gibraltar, then via Lanzarote, cross the Atlantic, spend some time in the Caribbean. We have a lot of toys on board, so from e-foils to sea bobs and water skis and all of that stuff. So it's also about having fun, of course. And then when the hurricane season starts, we go up United States. Probably have to do another wharf, 4 or 5 weeks or so in summer, because we are unlikely finishing everything now, and I want to leave on the 1st of February. And then we go towards Greenland, and from Greenland through the Northwestern Passage. You can enter the Northwestern Passage, well, the main part of it, on the 25th of August. And then you have a window of opportunity of 3 to 4 weeks. But the Prometei, our ship, has been built as an icebreaker. So it was built in 1956 in a Romanian wharf for the Russian Marine. And we did a hull inspection, and it still has 2.5 centimeters of steel. So I guess we are able to go pretty much anywhere. And then we will come down around Alaska, West Coast US, all the way down Central America, Costa Rica, so visiting all these blue zones, going to the Galapagos, and then all the way to Ushuaia, then Antarctica, and then via the Easter Islands. And the Easter Islands are interesting because on the Easter Islands there is a plant growing which allows you to produce rapamycin, and rapamycin is a very good drug against aging. So we want to collect it firsthand there, basically. And then we go over in direction of New Zealand, all the way through these cool islands there, the way up to Japan, and then via Bali down again, around the Indian Ocean, you know, the Seychelles, to Madagascar, then around Cape Horn in Africa, and all the way back to Europe, and end our trip maybe here in Turkey. Because we haven't been into Turkey with the ship, and everybody tells us it's so beautiful. We didn't have time so far, but in summer 26, end of summer 26, you can expect us back here, most likely. So a bit more about the Prometei. I told you it's 45 meters. It was in the Russian Marine until 2001, and I think it looked it was in a really bad shape. And then it was bought by an Italian fashion designer, Alberta Ferretti. Some of you might know, she is apparently quite famous. And she built a pleasure yacht out of it. And she did it really nicely. I can show you some photos. This is the owner's cabin. She upgraded it during a period of 5 years, new motors, everything new. So the ship is regarded by the insurance companies as a ship built in 2005, basically. And she used it then, that's the motor room. We have 2 engines with each 1,000 horsepower. Generators, one of the generators is causing me some sleepless nights, so probably we have to replace part of it. That is, again, an issue with timing. It's a very beautiful ship. Yeah? It's really nicely done. You have a lot of space. You have a big sun deck, which is really cool when you have friends on board. That's the interior where you also can work. And I mean, by the way, allowing us to do this trip, you can really say is Starlink. I think without Starlink, I wouldn't do it because I like to work. I'm still working. And, it doesn't really matter to me from where I work, so I can have my Zoom calls on the boat or on land. And I think with Starlink, you really are able to do that. So here you have a bit of a review of what we have done in the summer. But back to this Alberta Ferretti. So she had that ship then operational from 2005-06 until 2017. She used it for fashion weeks. She was in Monaco, but it was always Mediterranean. And they had people like Nicolas Cage and Scarlett Johansson on board, so it was really a fashion boat, you could say. And for some reason, she lost interest in the ship in 2016-17, and the ship then was anchored in Italy for 4 years without moving. I think the only thing they did is every month once they started the motors and the air conditioning, but it was, not taken care of. And then another Italian gentleman bought it for apparently very little money in 2022. He did some refits, mostly make it look nice again. And he sold it this summer to me then. So for him, probably it was a nice business. I think he invested less than what I had to pay for. But still, I paid a price which I would not have thought possible for such a big ship. I mean, it's cool when you sit on a ship and you think you didn't pay too much. Yeah? And that's what friends of mine who have boats told me when they came on board. They said, how much did you pay? I told them, and they looked at me and said, really? Are you sure? I said, yes, I'm sure. So, a ship like that, I think there is not too many people wanting to buy something like that. Or we have heard it before. A lot of people, when they are able to afford a yacht, they go to a shipyard and they commission a yacht, and it's going to be, perfect for their own wishes. In my case, I liked it. I thought, okay, this is fit for purpose. And yes, we are doing some changes right now, but not too much really. Because for us, traveling is the experience. We want to learn a lot. We want to have fun and great experiences, and don't really care whether the interior is blue or beige or something like that. back to the topic of longevity. If you are interested in the topic of longevity, that is what my company does. My company is called Maximon, and we are an investor and company builder. We basically help researchers building companies in that field of longevity. And every 2 years we publish our compendium, we update it. And if you just want to read what you can do for your own longevity, I think that's a very good summary. It's relatively short, it's 40 pages. And it's what I can promise you, it's really the latest from science. It's explaining what can each of us do. It's a lot about personalized prevention. We don't all have to do the same. Some of you might be vegans. For some other, vegan would be really a bad idea. And so you have to be very personalized on that topic. I can tell you a bit what companies we have built so far. Avea, that's our supplement company. They deliver to Turkey, by the way. So they do longevity supplements, very successfully so. Ayun is a clinic we have opened in Zurich, the first one. It's a walk-in longevity clinic where you basically don't go because you're sick, but you go because you want to stay healthy. So personalized prevention. Maybe we should open one in Istanbul one day. Biolytica is the data topic. So everybody has a lot of health data, but it's very difficult to make health data comparable. We talk here from the DNA to your microbiome to all the wearable data. That's a company which makes this data comparable and then can give personalized advice. Frida is for female longevity, the topic of menopause. 50% of society is confronted with it sooner or later. In the last 10 years, science made a big progress, but it didn't arrive at the end consumer. So this is like a digital clinic for women who want to improve their longevity. And Mana Living is basically senior co-living. So a lot of people, when they are 60, they get a bit lonely. Maybe they don't need a big house, but they are still healthy, but they don't need to go to assisted living or anything. But maybe they want new forms of living. And so we produce this. It's a bit of a Soho house for seniors, which we plan to build all over Europe. So this gives you an idea of what we plan to do. If you're interested, we have a website. To be honest, that website will get much cooler. We now work with an agency. It was done a bit fast, yeah. But you can follow us. We will do podcasts, and maybe we even see one of you on board next year. And if you have any questions, I think I have now 6 minutes. Happy to answer them. Yeah, okay, there is a question in the back. Last row. You have a mic for the lady? Yeah, mic is coming.
Hi, this is Elif. Thank you, first of all. I want to ask, is it just a kind of first boat, and are you going to buy one more, or is it a kind of project? Do you have any ideas to make a fleet?
If I understood you right, if it's the first boat or if there is other projects, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, that's the first boat and probably the only one. As I said, it's a private cruise, so we don't go commercial, which would anyway be a nightmare to fulfill again all those regulations. When we finish the trip, we will see what we do. Maybe we make the boat then fit for commercial and charter it out. Maybe we sell it again, but I don't know. So it's a bit of, this is the project for the next 18 months, and when we are back, we will see.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions? I'll buy you a drink if you have a good question. There is one.
Hi, hello. Congratulations for your nice speech. I'm Marianthi from Greece. I am a captain, and I would like just to ask you what your opinion, what are you thinking about female captains, and if you ever would you like to hire a female captain on your yacht, just to listen your thought.
Yeah, so are we now in an application process? No, honestly, so I should say, unfortunately, we do have a captain already.
No, I'm not asking for me.
I know.
Just generally what you are thinking.
No, but for me, hey, I don't really mind whether a female or not. We looked for somebody who has experience in the ice. and the I certifications basically, and somebody who was a bit of a self-starter also in the wharf, in basically the shipyard period right now. A good friend of mine, Sami, he has a female captain and he's very happy. I mean, nowadays, I mean, who cares? Yeah? I need competence. And you know, we are currently looking for a first officer. If you know a good female first officer, let me know. Yeah? I mean, my girlfriend is super experienced on the shipping. She manages 22 oil tankers. So I'm absolutely not against girl power when it comes to ships. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
And there is one more question in the second row. A Negroni is fine, yeah.
I saw that you invest recently in some real estates, sustainability real estates in Switzerland. As you said, you're a newcomer in yachting. What is your view on the, let's say, sustainability movement in the yachting industry from the outside perspective? How do you see the latest trends, etc.?
Well, I think it's super important. So I can tell you what we do. We're going to offset the whole trip. I mean, the ship consumes 130 liters diesel an hour. If you tell this a journalist, they kill you. I mean, it's not sustainable. So what we said is, look, it doesn't cost us so much. We're going to offset that. So we calculate the sea miles we do down to the hours and the liters of diesel and then basically the CO2 footprint will be zeroed. Do I think this becomes more important? Yes, I do know some people, they look at building even boats which are, you know, powered by nitrogen and solar and stuff like that. So apparently it's coming. But on the other side, what you just see at the very recent time, and I mean in the last 12 months, the whole topic of sustainability has been a bit out of focus. Yeah? And with Trump becoming the next president, I don't think that it will be much more in focus. Yeah? So let's see if Elon Musk moves him there or so. You know, if you would have asked me that question in 2020 or 21, I would have said, yes, this is the big movement. Everybody is going to sustainability, which I would be happy to. But right now, I don't think that it's at the forefront of people thinking. Yeah? But you know, I mean, if you can build a sustainable yacht, you should do so, because you have probably a wider market, and long term, you're on the safer side. Yeah? There is a question in the back row.
Hi, Tobias. How does owning a yacht impact longevity?
Sorry, I didn't get it. Can you repeat?
How does owning a yacht, being a yacht owner, impact longevity?
Yeah, fair question. Short term, it is a bit stressful. So, as I said, I mean, I was absolutely unprepared when I came to that topic. So, you know, when they told me that we need class and flag, I was like, what is class and what is flag? Now I know, and so learning curve is steep, and I think by now we ask the right questions, and we also will exchange the management company there, because we just saw that they are not experienced for the parts of the world we want to go. So short term, I would say a bit stressful. Long term, I bet it's great. I mean, you know, I was spending a lot of time this summer on the boat, and it makes me happy. It's nice to sit on the sun deck. You don't have to worry about too many things once the ship is going. You invite friends around you. And you know, the social aspect is super important for longevity, by the way. There's a lot of studies showing that people who have an intact social environment live healthier longer. And so just taking care of healthy nutrition, never drink a glass of wine and stuff like that, that will not make you getting much older, I guess, at least not happy. Yeah? So I advocate for, you know, you should find out what is best for you yourself. That's what I mean with personalized prevention, which is really differing from person to person. And then you can make still some compromise. I mean, as for me, I like to drink a good glass of wine with friends, and doing that on the sun deck is definitely something good for longevity. Yeah? One more question there in the fourth row.
Hi, Tobias. Good to see you again.
My
As I saw the first time the voyage you're planning to do through all the blue zones and have a private chef on board, are you then also having your meals according to the local specialities?
Yeah, we combine that. So on the one side, whenever somebody comes on board, we ask this person to do a microbiome and a blood test. You know, you can do this at any doctor, no problem to do it. And this information will be sent to our nutritionist on an anonymous basis. And our nutritionist, Larissa, she sits in Switzerland, she will then send our chef on board very clear instructions what that specific person needs. I mean, it doesn't mean that we have 12 menus, yeah? But it might be that, you know, one eats with gluten, the other one without, and so on. One with meat, the other one without meat. So we want to be specific. It's not only one dinner happening there, yeah? Look, and in general, local provisioning, yes, always, absolutely. And it's crazy what is possible in June. We have been, not with the ship, but with an airplane, we have been in Greenland at a restaurant there, which is called Koks, K-O-K-S. And that's actually a 2-star Michelin restaurant. It's a pop-up in Greenland. And they cook everything with local provisioning. No exception. So for example, they don't use pepper because pepper is not growing in Greenland. And we had an 18-course dinner. Most of it was really good, not all, but most of it was really good, and it's all local. So if you have a good chef, you can always find enough local food. Yeah.
Thank you.
So I think my time is up. Thank you very much, and I'm happy to speak later with you.